listening to Oilersnation Radio, a member of the Nation network of podcasts and delivered by DoorDash. 1 hour of straight hockey talk with Dan, Rick, Tyler, and Bag Milk starts now.
Oilersnation Radio, episode 65,000. Bag Milk here. Liam, Tyler, Rick, Dan. We got Gavin sitting in the corner watching quietly. I respect it. As we do every week, we start off with a shout out to our friends at Oodle Noodle. Location number 18 opened down in Calgary on December 2nd. That means you have had 2 weeks of deliciousness. Ryan Pike from Flames Nation sent me a message on Twitter saying, I don't know why I waited so long. I was like, I know, Ryan, we've been telling you for years. What do you guys smile on your face over there for?
I'm just ready to go.
Just keep staring at me and smiling.
Yep.
Yeah, well, I'm also staring at you too, Liam, on the side of my eye, because you brought props into the studio today. We're going to get to that a bit.
That's intense.
Also, for our friends at DoorDash, if you're looking for some Oodle Noodle, don't feel like cooking, I don't blame you. It's Friday. You worked enough for the week. Ding dong, as Liam would say. DoorDash is there to help. Tyler, what do you got for delicious debate for us this week?
When corn is grown, it's on the cob. Yet when we eat corn on the cob, we go out of our way to call it corn on the cob. But shouldn't that just be called corn and anything else is corn off the cob?
I'm so glad Tyler's asking this question today. This is a great, delicious debate.
Canned corn is niblets.
Yeah, but we just call it corn as a society.
Okay, here's an extra question. What do you call the little corns that you find in those
baby
stir fry?
Baby corn.
But are they not baby corns on the cob?
Probably, arguably, yes.
Corn.
Baby cobs.
I just feel like we all got to get on the same page here and have it make a little bit more sense.
Yeah.
Best delicious debate we've ever had.
The world's not about the blacks and the whites. Everything's gray.
Yep.
Not going to find
shades of gray in there.
You're not going to find that stuff.
So with that being said, everything is a shade of gray. Was it offside? That is the real delicious debate.
It was.
You stinker.
You knew I was going to bring it back to hockey somehow.
We didn't think this was going to be all about corn.
I like corn.
The band specifically. Oh, we got it.
Too.
Okay, here we go.
Can you call
Tyler's going to show us the replay as we're talking about it. Rick, you've already got takes. So.
First off, putting the highlight up on the TV in the studio makes no sense because half the podcast isn't facing the TV and it's a podcast, so no one can see.
And when I am facing, this is like twice backwards or something like that.
Yeah,
too?
but you can watch this. It's like going to a game at Rogers. You can watch it on the screen.
Yep.
It's on the screen.
Should I describe it to the viewers?
Yes, I would like that.
Play by play.
Connor McDavid has the puck.
Yep. Ryan O'Reilly is there.
And I think that's Leon. Yeah, slightly over, moving into center of the ice. And now that it's off the screen. Restart the play. Here we go. Play.
Scrub.
Liam has
McDavid has the puck.
Giant.
Possession. Paused. Possession. Still has possession. Connor has entered the zone. Possession lost. Offside.
How does he lose possession?
So that's my big beef with this is that's a move to the outside where he is in control of where that puck is more or less going the whole play, is he not?
Yes.
Ryan O'Reilly has not touched that puck either.
Nor does he even fucking touch his stick.
I would say
he's already in the zone. The puck's in the zone. He's in the zone before any contact is made with Connor, the puck, or his stick. That is full control entering the zone, as it was with Makar, as it was with the Washington thing the other night.
Yeah.
I would argue, and I put it out on my Twitter, that he lost more possession of the puck in the shootout.
He doesn't lose possession of the puck.
They still let him shoot the puck.
Just because the puck's not on your stick does not mean you don't have possession of it. So if you're playing soccer and the ball is not on your foot, can you still have possession of it? Yes, you're running down the field, but you can't hold it on your fucking foot and run at the same time. You're kicking it ahead of yourself. You still have possession of the ball. He still has possession of that puck. That's not offside.
And for me, the thing that really irked me in all this, because again, and we talked about this on Oilers Nation every day, I have no problem admitting when a call doesn't go the Oilers' way. Sometimes it's the right call. Sometimes it goes their way and it's the wrong call. Blake Coleman against Calgary. Thought it was a kick. No still think it's a kick.
Kicked.
But this is ridiculous because they had to buzz down and review it. And it's not like they're supposed to confirm the call. If you're going to overturn something, it has to be like definitive. Like, yes, 100%, this needs to be overturned. And you can't say that with this. So how can you overturn it? It's ridiculous.
Because it was a goal.
And what they're doing there too, Tyler, and to your point, is they're removing the linesman's opinion from the game. The guy that was on the line made that call, and you've just removed him completely and said that the video replay is actually the smarter one.
So this is what Reed Wilkins tweeted, our good friend from the NHL rulebook. A player controlling the puck who shall cross the line ahead of the puck shall not be considered offside, provided he had possession and control of the puck prior to the skates crossing.
Which he does.
the leading edge of the blue line.
Which he does.
So,
Which
I'm
he does.
just watching here.
Yep.
So technically,
He still has
what they're
possession.
saying is he didn't. So I think there's a lot. I think this one's quite different to the McCarr one in a way that
It's totally different than the
It's very
McCarr.
different.
Skate in different directions, but the puck on the stick is the same thing.
McCarr's feet weren't in the zone before the puck was in the zone.
And that was McCarr waiting for a guy to tag up. This is McDavid coming in with possession on his own, no one else factoring into the play.
But it's not different in that we're still questioning what possession is and isn't. And that's the problem there.
Yeah.
And so for me in that play, McCarr apparently is able to give up possession mentality wise, but McDavid isn't allowed to keep possession mentality wise. There's we went through the video. Liam spoke us through it. There was no contact from Ryan O'Reilly. He didn't lose the puck. How did he lose possession? It's confusing.
He
does
doesn't
not lose possession.
Not
So
only
that's
that,
where
like,
the McCarr thing comes.
we're not talking about Devin Shore here.
No, this is Connor McDavid. He knows
Connor
exactly
McDavid.
what he's doing with that goddamn
He had
puck.
possession of the puck.
And they took a goal off the board.
I will say though, like you can't do the McDavid thing. Like when you do these reviews, you have to watch it like it's
No, I get that.
Yeah.
But like,
But don't you consider the puck, if Connor comes in with the puck like that and Shore did it like that, wouldn't you say, there's a better chance that Shore lost the puck as opposed to Connor doing exactly what he meant to do?
I mean, we can sit here and say that, but the NHL can't like have in the rule book, like if a good player is carrying it over there versus
why? I mean, their rules don't matter generally anyway.
that's a good point too.
They're interpreting the rules here, and they continue to interpret them in different ways depending on the play. And so why
The
not
thing
on
that
the
gets
player?
me is they called from fucking Toronto for this one. Like this wasn't challenged by the fucking bench. This was the league going,
I don't even
"Hold
think
on,
the
we got-"
Blues would have challenged it.
They wouldn't have because it was a good play.
No, you wouldn't have because you can't challenge in overtime. But
Oh yeah.
that's besides the
should
point.
should they be?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why they didn't.
Well, it makes sense that when you heard Jack and
they?
Louie like ranting about, well, they're not going to get a penalty, so they might as well do it anyways. That makes sense,
Yeah.
right? That they don't want to just throw it away. Sorry, go ahead, Liam.
I don't know. I
Yes,
feel like
possession,
my idea of offside is if the puck enters the zone before someone's feet, then it should be offside. I feel like that just should be the rule. But as we sit here and debate the rule, that is not the rule, and that's why it's so complicated to understand what is happening.
Rick Nash used to skate and enter the zone, going
Backwards.
full out backwards.
Yep.
So his feet went in before the puck. His puck wasn't always on touching his stick at the same time. It was because he had possession. It was onside. This is almost the same thing.
And there was when was that Washington goal from?
I don't even remember.
Well, like, it's a very similar play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was a goal.
So here's the thing. This is my thing I said it before the podcast. I said it this morning. The league will not compare plays to plays, and that's an issue. Until they start doing what the fans are doing, which is comparing these plays side by side and say why they're different, we are going to continue to spin our tires and be mad at the referees and the league for these kind of decisions.
Technically, we don't know how they went about this. I kind of wish they went back to the Brendan Shanahan videos, and I would like someone to explain to me why. And in that explanation,
They do that once in a while.
Use the other plays as obvious. That's what we're looking at.
A big problem here for me is that if this exact situation happened, like take the Oilers out of it, take McDavid out of it, the exact same goal happens 3 different games on the same night, you're probably going to get different calls in all of them.
Mm-hmm.
And
It doesn't make sense to me.
Was that not the reason that we have a Colin Campbell or we have a George Peros? Is this person is supposed to come out and explain the interpretations of the rules for us?
Well, they're player safety.
Yeah, those
right?
aren't the right guys, but
I get what you're saying. There's someone in place.
There's got to be
in the role.
someone that's making that final interpretation. That's what judgment is for, right?
Yeah.
Like you have to have somebody that makes that decision.
But this whole league likes to avoid accountability.
Yep.
Are we just being biased here? That's another
No.
question. Like if we're watching
No,
the
it's we're
Flames
based-
and Canucks,
Then you go off precedent.
I think to go and say we're not biased is, I think the Coleman goal was a goal that he kicked in last year. I think that should have been a goal.
And I still
But do you
don't
think?
because I
What do you think
it's-
this call was? You think this was the right call last night?
I don't know. I mean, the correct answer is, I guess, no, it wasn't, because it wasn't called a goal. So that's the correct answer. But the rule is you can interpret it however you want. And that's the wrong part about the rule. It should be black and white. The rule book should be extremely obvious what it is.
Especially after going through this last year in the playoffs with McCarr. They need to come out and go, oh shit,
But
that's a weird spot. Let's clarify this going forward so it doesn't happen.
But that's the thing that irks me as well, along with the fact that they overturned this call, is every time Bettman's asked about officiating or any process with the league, it's, you got the media's just making up problems. No one actually cares about this stuff.
Game starts on time.
The board ads are great. In fact, people I talk to say it makes hockey more fun. Like,
I love the board ads.
See, and I'm not getting involved in that argument. Like, I barely even notice the board ads.
But
right?
the point is, when Bettman's pushed on anything,
but there's no way he can come out and say it that way. Like, I get it. Like, forget the boards. I'm watching the game. I don't even notice it half the time, more than half the time. But you can't come out and put out his answer. That was ridiculous.
But again, so you ask him when they asked him about officiating last year in the Cup final, and he was like, our officiating is the best it's ever been. I love everything that's going on. So I get that he can't come out and be like the officiating, but like come out and be like, hey, we're always looking for ways to improve. And Frank talked about this on the show. He says he goes to the Board of Governors meeting and it's a bunch of guys in suits walking around, patting each other on the back, being like, you're great. You're great. No, you're great.
Age. It's the era. Those guys grew up in an era when you were running your company. You did not admit any type of failures or faults or anything. Everything always right, always right, always right. They need to get over that mentality because that's not where we are anymore in 2022.
But that's also like, Tyler, you're absolutely right. But it's a reporter asking a commissioner a very general question about how are your officials doing? If that reporter then drills in and says, okay, here's a play, Mr. Bettman, here's the iPad, you go ahead and tell me how this call was made. That's a different, I know, and he doesn't go there. That. But that's the thing, is that this league continues to just ignore that's the answer to all of this. If you could just answer a question for some media people, it would be a very different story from the fans altogether. And that's the issue for me, is that they keep putting it back on the referees to figure this shit out. And the referees are only getting vilified more and more by the fans.
Just watching this goal again, can we take a moment to appreciate what the hell was Ryan O'Reilly doing? Just keep an eye on O'Reilly only during the goal. It's hilarious. So
I'm actually getting annoyed the more this plays on loop, because it's just, I don't see any situation why this should be pulled off.
He like broke the other way for a split second when Draisaitl
was he going looking for the third forward coming in, not realizing he was the second defender here?
It almost makes it look like he
assumes there's another defense and
it's like,
it is weird. We're talking about a Selke winner here. It's like, my guy knows how to play defense.
So what it proves is that guys can make mistakes.
So is that a tie into our next point?
I guess it kind of it works that way.
It was a good, delicious debate where we all agreed.
Liam almost didn't agree.
No, we turned him. We peer pressured him into agreeing.
I just don't know what the rule is to agree on.
That's the bigger problem.
And that's the issue. It's the call on the ice was offside. So
is there anything in
it was offside?
Is there a part in the rule book that discusses when you don't have possession? Like, I know we read the rule, but is there another part in there that says this is what possession is? I'm sure there's
like section C, paragraph 12, something like that, right?
Different book. The NFL went through a similar thing with the catch rule, right?
Yep.
Like if it was a catch,
carrying it through the sidelines and stuff.
That out, I think.
Right? You try and massage it as much as possible as new things come up.
Like you said, Bettman just has to admit there's flaws, and that's fine. It's not.
We're human beings.
Everyone makes mistakes, and
everyone makes mistakes. Everybody has those days.
Hey,
quote Miley Cyrus.
And that brings us
to the end.
And that brings us back to the corn thing from earlier.
I like corn.
I'm just a blanket corn guy. All of it, including
cream of corn.
No problem.
I'll eat cream corn. Sure.
Oh yeah,
cream of corn is a young Dan thing that I don't think I could continue.
I'll put
anymore.
This is a weird thing, but this is because I grew up this way. My dad used to make it when we were a little bit broke growing up. Just a piece of toast, cream corn on it with some cheese melted on top.
Ooh, that seems a little much.
We always had like cream of corn, and then there was rice.
Did you not
bread and corn and cheese is too much for you?
Tyler, did you not hear the whole disclaimer right before that?
Yo,
we didn't have anything else.
Hey, corn and cheese.
Was that a little much or not enough?
Corn and cheese go well together.
Yeah, it's
very,
delicious.
very well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Doesn't cheese go well with
corn?
Chocolate.
No, it does, man. There's a Korean dish out there.
Oh, wait, never mind.
You get the corn, you get the melted cheese. Oh, dude, it's prime.
Liam, the only answer that you really need right now is from our friends at Tourism Jasper. You know, if you go to jasper.travel, you look at their current deals page, you will see that half price lift tickets at Marmot Basin are available. The best deal in the Canadian Rockies is back for the 2022-2023 ski season. Save 50% off regular adult, senior, student, and youth lift tickets every day, all season with, Liam, no blackout dates. up to 50% off lift tickets at partner ski areas and up to 30% off on accommodation in Jasper. Go to jasper.travel to get a little bit more details on what they've got going on. I love Jasper. By all accounts, Marmot is in great shape right now. Get out skiing.
I haven't skied forever.
I haven't either. I really want to go. All right. Next delicious debate. Let's just get into what everybody else is talking about. Our old pal Daryl.
Why?
He had a rough night last night. Couple of costly mistakes, especially the one with 19 seconds left. The Oilers were winning on a power play. Rick, what do you think about that? Were you at the game, by the way?
I was not last night. I was watching on my coach.
Thank goodness.
Yeah. What do you think of Darnell Nurse?
It was just a game that just kept compiling on itself. It was, little mistakes here, and they just compiling all fucking game. I mean, that happens to some players. You don't like to see it. I think he's very much in a lightning rod right now. So there's a big section of fans that wait for him to make mistakes so they can come out and like finger point and tell you how it should be done and how they're smarter and how they're better and whatnot. To me though, it was a bad game. He took full accountability like he should. I'm not even considering benching the guy. That's not how you quote unquote discipline, for lack of a better word, a player like that.
Well, I'm going to jump in on that for a second.
I have a question about it too.
I am not one of those people that think Darnell Nurse should be benched for a period, a game. That's ridiculous to me. He's the best defenseman on this roster.
Yes.
However, my problem is I have no problem with parking him for a shift or two. As an example, he would, if I'm Coach Woodcroft, I'm the most handsome coach in the NHL. Mm-hmm. He's not playing an OT.
I was surprised when I saw that. I don't know if maybe what the coach is doing at that point, just trying to give him another opportunity to try and bounce back. This is it's a 3-player unit that always plays together. So I think that's where Woodcroft's mentality came from. Perhaps I probably maybe would not have done that, but he just went back to the well. It's like, hey guys, like that's over. Forget about it. You can't fix these mistakes. We're 3-on-3 now, or we're 4-on-3, whatever part you want. Or it was 3-on-3 when he was out there. It's overtime. This is our go-to line. Get out there and do it. Forget about everything that's happened already. We've got 3.5 minutes to win a game 3-on-3 here before we got to go to shootout. And
the short memory thing I agree with, but there's been a history with Woodcroft of like parking a guy like Bouchard on the bench for entire periods.
But you see a difference between a young guy in Bouchard and a guy like.
But you'll never
right?
of course. But you'll never convince me that you can't park a guy 2 shifts or for OT after a fuck up that glaring.
But I also think it's one of those things where, like Rick said, and I like the point you made. That's a 3-man unit that plays together in OT all the time and is very good. And if you just throw someone else out there with
like
them,
Tyson Barrie, who had 3 points last night.
Yeah. And maybe you could have just thrown Barrie out there for the OT, but I just think of it from this perspective of like, okay, what's your best chance to win in the moment? It's probably with those 3 on the ice.
But like you've got other guys on the roster that are probably looking at that going like, well, if that was me, I'm parked.
Can't you put Nuge out there? Why can't you put Nuge out there?
Man, when he went 4 forwards to start OT, that was sick.
Yeah,
but that was power play, right? So, but I mean, with that exact same thing, Bag Milk, you have to look at Connor then from the last game when
I don't think anybody should be above being parked for a shift or 2.
And that's fair. And then, like I said, I think there's perhaps a chance, but at that point it was overtime, 3 minutes to go. This is our go-to lineup. You already have Kulak going out next. Like you already he was going out.
At the very least, I would have started a different unit.
I mean, you're probably not putting out Broberg, right? He's not getting a chance.
No, probably not.
Cece's most likely not getting a chance. You're running out of guys to play at this point.
But why not? But why not?
Why not?
Because what does
Cece, they can't skate fast enough to keep up out there.
What did that minute of Darnell Nurse change though? Like that's
in hindsight, sure, but like if Cody Cece would have got burned
but that's
wide.
The thing is that minute of no Darnell Nurse does a world of good, I think, because it puts that guy on the bench and it lets him think about it for a second.
You're putting your team at a
Why was it okay for Bouchard to be on the bench for a whole period?
I don't think it was
difference though.
But that's a difference
in a guy and a veteran.
But that's the thing as a fan base.
There is. You grew up playing hockey like this, and you saw it in your own teams growing up.
But like I also played for coaches. Like when I'm thinking I got to the higher levels where it didn't matter who you were, like a shift or 2, you're being parked if you fucked up.
And that's fair, but there's not the separation that you see in the NHL.
But Rick, if he sat for 3 minutes of overtime versus Bouchard sitting for 2 for a whole,
is he going to change his mindset though?
Hold on,
not his, but what about the rest of his teammates? That they go, he's not above screwing up. He's not above being quote unquote punished for it.
I think there's only like 2 or 3 guys that would
But we don't know that
differently anyways.
I'm just thinking about on the human level. If I was looking at here in this room and Gavin scored a beauty and you fucked up, I don't think that it's fair to treat you guys very differently.
It's probably not fair, but the world's not fair. And in a situation like the NHL or any top end sport,
in the NHL,
we're talking about shifts, single shifts being parked, not long periods of time.
But you're talking about the single shift being in overtime when you're trying to go get a win. And if Jay Woodcroft in the moment is like, Darnell Nurse, it gives us the best chance to win, which he clearly feels. And on any other night, I would agree with him. Nurse out there in OT gives you the best chance to win. Then you park the discipline. You say, we got to win the game before I try to teach Darnell a lesson.
So you guys it's fair in what you're saying. And I don't think anybody here is sitting and saying that a veteran should sit, but I don't think that they're wrong in saying that a veteran should sit for a whole period or anything like that. But we are talking about two different ways that we're talking about dealing with a guy, right? Bouchard sat for the whole third period, and we're talking about sitting Nurse for 3 minutes of overtime.
I don't think Bouchard should have sat.
I know, but that you take that part aside and you say that that's the right answer because it's Woodcroft's answer. Then why isn't Woodcroft's answer also sit?
If we're also talking about if we're comparing, Evan Bouchard was the team's leading defensive scorer last year.
Yeah. I also think there's a side of if Darnell Nurse had 2 terrible turnovers and the Oilers were down 4-1 in the third, I wouldn't play him in the third. I'd say you're sitting for the rest of this game, man, because this is on you. But the context of it being in overtime and you really needing a win here changes it. I just think it does. I think you need to be like, you know what? Forget any sort of feelings I have about Nurse right now. I got to play him because we need to win. And we just went through a 30 seconds of 4-on-4 with 2 other D-men on the ice because Nuge and Yamo were out there with, I think it was Barry and Kulak.
I think it was Kulak.
Bouchard's sitting was for a 1-goal game, correct?
That was in New York. Yeah. Pretty sure.
It was 1 goal at the time. I think it ended up being more than that by the end.
It was a home game against...
I can't remember who it was, but it was literally the game after he scored against Florida, right?
Yeah.
So it's just so strange that the argument, I understand the argument of, okay, you want to win the game and then maybe you take it up after. Mm-hmm. But on the count of that too, Bouchard had just equalized for you with 4 seconds left. And then we was the next game of the one after, and then you don't play him in that same situation. Is it not the same argument in the sense of this guy has proven to me already this season in Bouchard that he can perform in big moments and he shows up in this situation Nurse gets as the result in overtime. And ironically enough, he was on the ice for the offside goal, right? He would have been a defender. So clearly Woodcroft's thinking worked in a way, but also I just don't think that's a good message. And I think it's been weird right now too with the amount of players that didn't play last night very highly.
It was the 3-2 loss to Washington. Sorry, keep going.
Was that? So yeah, that would have been last Monday then, right? Oh yeah, because he made that mistake on the game-winning goal, which wasn't his fault, which was Tyson Berry's fault, who wasn't benched for it. It was just the double standards are very frustrating. Sorry, Tyler, we talk about how Nurse needs this extra help. Well, the coaches need to put trust in other players to help Nurse out in taking minutes away. And doing that is playing Broberg an extra couple of shifts and playing Bouchard in these situations, because if down the line is going to benefit them massively. And I understand the argument of Nurse is a leader and all that kind of stuff, and I get it, but he also had 2 straight turnovers that cost the team goals directly from his play.
I just don't think by playing those guys in overtime that you just said, I think you're putting your team at a big disadvantage. Yep. And I don't think it's going to change Nurse's look on it. He's not going to sit there on the bench go, oh, I fucked up and I don't get to play any more than he's going, fuck. That dude feels like shit right now.
But this is a coach
and piling on, I don't think is really
I just don't see parking a guy a couple of shifts is piling on. I just don't.
Neither does Woodcroft.
Pro athletes,
but it's not going to change his mentality. It's not going to change his mentality. He's not going to go back and go, oh fuck, I need to move the puck better because I got benched last time.
The only real
I have
control
to make the fucking play because I need to make the play.
The only control Woodcroft has in this situation is the ice time, and he's rewarding failure.
But that ice time at that point in the game, I think was too expensive.
Don't buy that.
We'll see what happens next game if you see a bigger change in minutes starting next game. But I think overtime is just too valuable to use as a teaching time or whatever you want to use to refer that to. Yeah. You can use that next game in the first period. Because it's way less. It costs you way less.
I just don't buy that putting Kulak out there instead of Nurse is that big of a drop off.
But Kulak was just out
also,
there.
We're also talking about your guys' feelings versus what Woodcroft has actually done. right? Woodcroft benched Bouchard because he thought that was a message to get across to him.
But you don't know why.
But I don't. But you saying that
why he did it though.
Again, he might have not done it to send a message. He might have just gone, hey, I'm coaching to win this game. Right now, that guy's not giving me a great chance to win this game. He looked at Nurse and still said, that guy still gives me a chance to win the hockey game tonight. Yeah, I disagree with it with Bouchard, but that could also be his thinking, and then it makes sense.
Yeah, but see, that's where I'm saying is that like, I'm okay with the Bouchard benching if he also benches Nurse. And I'm not okay with the Bouchard benching if he doesn't bench Nurse. So that's where I'm at.
The more I think about it, I think the overtime is the biggest factor in all.
Yeah. So if you're doing this with 10 minutes to go in the third, for sure.
I disagree just because he didn't do it after the fuck up in the first.
What wasn't Barry with those two all of the overtimes last season or the year before anyway? Like, I feel like there's other guys, it's not like we have 5 new players on this.
But Barry and Kulak were out on the power play at the end, right?
I understand that, but I wouldn't, I don't know. It's being a dead horse at this point. I guess it's a little, you using more defensemen because you have to use 4-on-4. CC's unplayable in overtime because he doesn't have the foot speed. Broberg's not done it, but also he's got the foot speed probably.
Yeah, but he's raw.
And then maybe you believe in Bouchard a little bit more and play him there too. Because I don't think he got a shift in overtime.
I would like to hear from you.
Top of my head.
If you're listening to this, ON Radio Podcast on Twitter and Instagram, jump into the Darnell Nurse debate. And I don't want to hear you got to trade him. I don't want to hear park him for a full game. Like, it's not happening. Don't be ridiculous. But like in a situation like this, I would love to hear from you. Obviously, all of us in the room, we've got different takes on it. Mm-hmm. Me and Dan are kind of more on if you're going to like A through Z, kind of got to treat them the same a little bit. Whereas Tyler, Rick, and Liam are a little bit more situational.
I'm in the middle.
Liam's in the middle.
Gavin, we can't hear from you. You don't have a microphone in front of you.
One day, Gavin will 2 months from now, Gavin will make a show debut and he'll be like, so was it offside?
It's going to work. It's going to work. But for now, he's in the cuck chair. I want to talk about some positives because that was annoying. I don't like when we fight.
That was a lot of fighting too. You know what? You know what I think we need to do, boys?
Debating is what that was.
I'm sorry.
That's fun.
Yeah. What we need to do though, we also need to cool it. Take a break for an ad.
I want to talk about a little bit of a positive. I want to go back a couple of days before last night's loss to the St. Louis Blues to the game in Nashville, when I assume any of us that are betting made a good chunk of money because Leon Draisaitl continues to own the Nashville Predators. And just for me, the weird thing is, for our friends at Betway, I was going to do my risky business bets for the game. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, okay, I've got Leon Draisaitl, goal and an assist. I feel good about that one. And I'm like, what's going to be my risky bet play here? And then I go 3 points and I go, I know Leon Draisaitl is very, very good and that he owns the Nashville Predators, but 3 points is still a lot in the NHL. This is still the National Hockey League. And then he goes out and puts up 5. What do you like? I don't know that I've ever seen a player just completely dominate an opponent the way he does with the Predators.
Yeah, it's like I was doing DFO Live this week, the day after that one, and Matt Larkin was like, "Oh, like there's nothing to be said about it." He was like, "It's just a random like statistical coincidence that Draisaitl has these big games against Nashville." And I was like, "Nah, man, we are well past that point. This dude owns them. They have no solution." And we said on the show leading up to it, I was like, man, it's at the point with the Preds where like they almost need to zero in on Draisaitl so hard. And they almost are zeroing in on him so hard that they're just like parading to the box, or they're over committing to him and leaving Connor open and then trying to scramble to fill mistakes. And then Draisaitl's open again. Like, I think he's just so in their heads. I think both him and McDavid are.
It's crazy to think that professional athletes can have one person get between their ears like that, to the point where the whole team is almost overcorrecting every almost sort of kind of mistake. And it's mind boggling. It makes no sense at all. Like, it should be a bit of an anomaly where, you know, he just put up a bunch of points last couple of games. That's great, whatever. But what is this, 3 or 4 seasons now?
In his last 31 games, Leon Draisaitl has 20 goals against the Nashville Predators.
What was that stat since 2010?
So heading into that game this week, so not even including his most recent dominant performance, he had 21 points in 7 games. It was 14 goals, 7 assists. So now that means in 8 games, he's at 9 goals and 10 assists.
It's just ridiculous.
Or more than that, 9 goals and 7.
I think if you've been a fan of a team in the NHL, you've probably like experienced like a team where they just kind of have that over your team all the time.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, the gameplay,
I think of like the Minnesota Wild. Yeah. Even before this run against the Predators, there was a time when they owned the Oilers.
But it's the whole team.
It's the whole team.
I get that your system and stuff. One damn player.
I think that what Tyler kind of laid out is true. It's just that it's that keying in on the one dude, and then everything else just kind of falls apart. And look at Zach Hyman, has an absolute hell of a game for the results because again they're keyed in on the big guys.
It is funny because even like just to talk about like Hyman, how he got a hat trick. Like Tyson Berry had 3 points last night. It's not even been mentioned once on this podcast yet. Yeah. There was so many other things. It's just funny that's happened back to back games, but with the Draisaitl,
it's always easier to look at the negatives. That's why.
Yeah, no kidding. But yeah, there was that. What was that other stat we had yesterday? Draisaitl has had 2 5-point games this season, and McDavid hasn't had any yet. And they've both come against Nashville.
I was also that game too. I was also surprised that was Zach Hyman's first hat trick. 450 games it took him to get his first.
Wow, I was surprised he got 3 goals without a review.
That is also
well.
True.
So they keep saying on the broadcast, "Oh, Hyman was cold for the last 10 games, didn't score." I'm like, he scored 3 times.
Yeah,
pucks were going in.
But the question, and I really hope we're not jinxing anything right now because we play them again right away in Nashville in like 3 or 4 days.
I know.
Do we? Oh my Lord, we do.
This is why we couldn't go to Nashville. I was talking to Jay before the season started. He's like, "Well, they play in Nashville twice in 6 days, right at Christmas time. So don't think
and it was like on a Tuesday or something."
He found his way out there, but he couldn't take the rest of us.
How have we played Minnesota all 3 times?
St. Louis all 3 times.
St. Louis all 3. And now we're going to play Nashville for a second time in 6 days?
We're going to be done Calgary
on the road
next week, 2 weeks.
We haven't even touched Anaheim yet. I know it's on Saturday. San Jose, forgot they existed.
They actually don't exist anymore. It's wild.
The Kraken.
Never heard of them.
Unbelievable.
What show are we talking about that on when it's like Draisaitl has like 9 points in 2 games against the Kraken? I don't have a single memory of the Oilers ever playing Seattle.
No.
I don't think they ever have.
I think maybe the first one just because
I don't remember.
But outside of that, I'm sure if you watch the pregame, there was some things that you've seen where you watched the pregame for Seahawks game. So they're throwing that big fish around.
Oh, maybe.
They would have showed you the jersey and the dressing room because that was new to us. And that's about it.
Not me.
And they would have had to show us our friend Adam.
There's just a fun tidbit of schedule coming out of the AHL this week. 2 teams played each other for the first time in almost 20 years.
What?
They had, because of just different
Did one team go away for a couple
scheduling
years?
issues. No, it was it's the Milwaukee Admirals and the Hartford Wolfpack.
Oh, so like those are 2
so
they're close.
Yeah, and so they played.
Geography.
So they took it was 19 years and like a couple of days short of
How?
the 20.
They're a fucked up league though. Some teams play 72 games. Some teams play. We're going to play 56. That's okay. We're going to call that a season.
So
it's
nearest
fucked.
I could tell, it was because some of the games, or there was work stoppages. Some of the games that they had played were like during COVID and got canceled or whatever. And so it just the way it worked out for 20 years. They didn't play each other, and then they played each other twice in 1 week.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's like 16 or 14 years of untouched.
Yep.
Nothing has been affected. How the fuck don't they play there?
That is so funny. Like, because the NFL does that, doesn't they? Well, like but they only play 17 games. There's different. 32 teams. You got to play your division. You got to play 3 teams in your division twice, home and away. Then you play like 2 other divisions and then 2 weirdos.
So you take in the NFL, you take a 1 year gap only ever or 2
into what?
From certain teams.
No,
you probably go through a couple because you play your division for 6 games.
Oh, right. Yeah, there's 4
then you play
divisions,
2 different divisions, all of them, and then 2 different weird teams.
So you can
just
not see
randomly
a team
out there
for about 5 years.
Yeah, probably at least.
But if you play like one team, like Detroit, say they play the Steelers, you play every team in that division.
Usually there's 2 teams that you just play one individual.
So basically the entire division has the same schedule.
Yeah, essentially.
Besides a couple of games.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Hockey.
Looking at the schedule, since you guys are talking about it, I'm trying to find Zach's article because he wrote about this yesterday, but doesn't it make sense to have more rivalry games in the NHL than just these random ones?
No. Did you see that today? They're trying to make it 84 games in the NHL instead of 82. Is that news? Is that breaking news?
That came out
This is from Sportico, so I found it.
Oh.
So Sportico says the NHL is eyeing a schedule shift for more.
Who said this?
Sportico.
What the hell is Sportico?
Just a news outlet.
Yeah.
I am Sportico.
Is it like...
It's good. It's legit.
legit?
It's legit.
I'm Sportico.
Like,
we are all
Facebook
Sportico.
group.
Team owners and executives have recently discussed efforts to create more games between geographic rivals and ultimately generate more money.
I love how we go through a cycle of about 6 different types of schedules. This is the one from 2006 when we ended up playing Minnesota
9
and
times
Colorado.
We used to play our division 8 times.
Yeah, wasn't that?
We've done this
8 times.
That was too many.
We've seen this movie before. We're just going to keep doing
up until we had to play Ottawa 8 times, and that was just right.
That was interesting in the all Canadian division where we're like, you know what? These series aren't so bad. And then now it's like, fuck, we played Minnesota 3 times in 9 days.
Yeah, we'd play the Senators 6 times in 2 weeks and be like, sick. It's like the playoffs in February.
This is great.
Tyler, you said no, though. You don't like the...
Okay, hold on, because Bag Milk and I think we brought this something out in the office here. What happens if those 2 games are coming out of the preseason schedule?
No, I still don't like it.
Why?
So there are good teams and there are bad teams. So what you're going to do is, by this idea that's come up of like, pick their geographical rival and give them an extra 2 games against them on the schedule. Who gets Arizona? That's kind of bullshit if you just get to play like the dog water team twice in
Seattle.
Vegas would. If they
The teams we don't even know about.
So how mad would you be if the Oilers are coming down a tough playoff race against the LA Kings?
And they've got like...
One of them's going to make it. And LA goes, haha, our 2 last games are against the Ducks. And the Oilers are like, shit, we're playing the Pacific Division leading Flames. It creates an imbalance in the schedule that's just not worth having to deal with.
But you only put yourself in that position if you're not winning your games before that. So it doesn't matter if you're playing 1 game season or 84 game.
You didn't beat the Ducks in 2 of the 4 games. And so that's why the Kings have that.
Okay, but the Kings get 6 games against the Ducks.
Yeah.
Right?
But you're in, I guess you're in the same division.
Also, I take umbrage with you saying Pacific Division leading Calgary.
I know, but you know what I mean?
Or
like, okay, let's...
So the solution...
Wait, hold on. Where are they?
They are not in a playoff spot. Thank you.
The solution for me for that, Tyler, is to just say that you have to be consistent with it. If you put this system in, it has to stay like this for 10 years. We can't keep changing the system.
I say
because then you're right.
Every year.
Because then you start to have the Pacific Division right now where we're in a low, but 5 years ago, if you had this Pacific Division, it would be running the league because
but they do that. That happens anyways.
But that's what Tyler's talking about.
I just think it's like, again, if you were to do it, here's a way I would look into doing it. Throw an extra 7 games on the schedule and you play every team in your division 1 more time.
Yeah,
sure.
15 games.
Then, well, that's at least fair in the sense that you're not going to have these games where like, oh my God, this middle of the pack team has to play the division leader twice because they happen to be in the same time zone. This middle of the division team plays X with 3 wins. They don't know who's
going to be where. I mean, there's obviously there's a bit of a guess,
and I think it cheapens your playoffs.
Are you thinking that they should redraw the divisions?
I would just have 2 conferences personally.
I would too, and then you would just do the divisions within it, but the divisions wouldn't matter as much. Like how they used to do
1 through 8.
Yeah. So
and they were doing 1 through 8 and they tried to change it up to go back to like the 80s style with the Smythe division, whatever. Yeah. Because you saw Oilers and Flames. You saw these teams, you saw these rivals have to play each other in the playoffs, which was great. Everybody loved it. But nobody back then was complaining about the fact that you were playing your toughest matchup in, say, the first round, as opposed to 2 and 3, where it should be, in a perfect world, you know, a 3 out of 10, a 6 out of 10, a 9 out of 10 in difficulty as you get through the playoffs.
Can I also add to this? It's like, I saw the one anonymous executive. If you just did Flames Oilers 10 times a year, everyone would sell out. The Oilers almost sold out last night against the freaking Blues in December. It was minus 25. Like,
yeah, I mean, Lord. I don't know. That's obviously not going to affect a market like us. I don't know if it has an effect on a market, say Florida, or someone who doesn't go out a lot. If they get their rival in there, they're going to show up a little more. I don't know if that's going to make the fans go out into Ottawa and, you know, show up for playoff games like that. I don't know, but maybe. I mean, that's what they're looking for, is trying to bring the bottom end up to the top end.
I wonder if playing your rival too many times in those other districts
too much of a good thing.
It. Like, what if Florida fans are like, oh, well, I've already seen us play Tampa Bay 3 times this year.
So you remember,
I don't want to go to the 4th.
So you remember when they changed away from that schedule then? Because that's exactly what they said, is that, well, we're just seeing too many of the same matchups and then we're not getting them in the playoffs. So then they changed it so that we were then forced to have collisions in the playoffs because the divisions have to line up against each other.
So they got to change it again, which would be cool.
We don't like that. We're just in 2006 NHL schedule. It's going to just keep changing.
But this is cyclical. So I honestly think this is a bit of a good thing by the NHL, because I think they're trying to react to what the fans want, to what they think is best. And it may not always work, but this is kind of what happens when you swing your bat. Sometimes you hit the ball, sometimes you don't. So I actually give them a credit for this here. But yeah, you do end up, it's cool for a bit, then someone's like, this is why it sucks. And everyone's like, oh, that's why it sucks. So we change it back. And this is cool for a bit till someone says it sucks because of that. And then it's crazy.
It's also very cut and dry. Sorry, Liam. In a market like Edmonton. No, fair. It's very easy here to be like Edmonton, Calgary. Great. But then like somewhere it gets messed up. So, okay. LA and Anaheim. Great. Who does San Jose play?
Well, Arizona? Yeah, I don't like the geographical part of this term because I don't think, that's necessarily a big part of it. The distance between the cities. I just think it's a general rivalry, and you could have them like fucking one side of the country to the other.
But we're talking about this as fans of the game. Yeah. Also, the big missing part of this conversation is that do you think the billionaire owners of the hockey team give a fuck if you think the playoffs are cheapened?
No. They will because it could be preventing them from getting playoff revenue if their team misses.
If maybe.
Yeah, but sure. That argument is, I get where you're coming from, but it's so easy to bring it down because they're like, well, you should have won that fucking game against Arizona in December.
The schedule is even right now for the most part, and it's even every year, and you're making it uneven
even now. But what happens if I don't even know who our last two games are against. Is there our last two games? Is there somebody we're going to go up against who's going to have two easy games right now?
But then quote unquote easy games. But then it doesn't matter in that sense because you can directly look to. Okay, if LA had Anaheim the last two games of the year in this schedule, it'd be like, all right, Edmonton had 4 chances to beat them early.
But I'm not necessarily putting these two rivalry games as the last two in the year. I'm just adding them in the middle and letting things filter out. So maybe you still get a fucking.
But I know, but at the end of the year, you would be sitting there looking at the standings being like, boy, if Edmonton got to play Anaheim 2 more times instead of having to play Calgary 2 more times, maybe this is like, I think you're adding such a weird, unbalanced layer to it.
We heard that in fucking in when Canada played their own teams. They're like, the Oilers are only in it because they had to fucking play Ottawa all these damn times. And then we sat here and went, well, that's not true at all. Ottawa's out there beating fucking Calgary and Toronto. And so
exactly because we were competing. No, I didn't. Not at all. If anything, you helped me make it.
I actually think that I'm shifting to Tyler's
because every team in the Canadian division got to play Ottawa as much as Edmonton did.
Yeah, but the teams from the US are like, well, it was much harder because we didn't get to play Ottawa.
Well, yeah, like if you're in the Atlantic division.
Okay, but they didn't have to compete against the Oilers for a playoff spot.
I assume.
So who gives a shit?
Well, technically you do. You're in the same race if you're in the same division.
No, not in the Canadian division.
Well, no, I'm talking about when it's not in the Canadian division.
But you just said that's what kills my argument.
The last handful of games
parts of it and see the same arguments on there.
We've got 2 against the Ducks and 2 against the Sharks to end off the season.
So, Rick, are you of the same mindset that I am that this is adding games against multiple division rivals? Or is this just one rival?
It's a rival. I don't care if it's your fucking division or not. Just so 2 extra games to me, and I don't think you put them on the end, so your schedule is just going to be the same.
I thought they were shifting the schedules around to make them, again, more conference based, but now I'm picking up from this conversation that it is just going to literally be extra games against another team.
Well, it depends on I don't know if it's going to be it's good if it's the way the report goes. It's supposed to be your quote unquote rivals, right? But crazy. I mean,
plural or not?
Well, that's what I mean. Is it 2 games against Calgary for us? Is it games against Calgary, games against Toronto or Dallas or
Vancouver and Calgary?
But are Vancouver a rival? No, that's the thing. I feel like these rivalries.
What's your rival? What's the fight?
I think
the
Flames are the only legit rival the Oilers have right now.
Because everything else comes and goes.
It's got to be like an.
But again, if you're Daryl Cates and you see 3 games against the Flames and they were wrapped by December, he wants more of them in season. Because you need to hit your fucking quarterlies because this is a business.
But are you not pissed that you're only playing the Flames? I feel like this is because the NHL schedule sucks right now for rival games. Just give us 4 games against the Flames.
Surely,
but I think there's a reason why it was 3, and I know it's going to be a silly, stupid ass reason, but there is a reason why. I'm sure there's
other teams in our division. We only play 3 times. Every team in the division should play each team the same amount of times, which is kind of your argument, right? So there's no need to add extra games to end the season. So we play Calgary 2 more times. Just take away one of the shitty games against Minnesota or whoever it is, and just play Minnesota or teams out of your division twice. Or whatever it is.
Yeah, I'm okay with going to that because we used to be
games more often.
It used to be home and away with everybody.
Yeah,
everybody in the league have a home and away, and then you have X amount of games against teams in your own division, and that's the way I think it should go.
That's what I thought we were talking about here, but apparently,
that's what I wanted. It's just got to be balanced within your division, so it's fair across the league. I just don't agree with this whole we play the Ducks twice, you play them 6 times, you play them once, and you're in our division, but you also play LA 5 times. You should play the teams in your division the same amount of time so it's even and balanced, and the 82 games is fair.
But we don't do that right now, do we?
No. Not quite.
Because Seattle fucked it up.
But
We
they
used
tried
to
Way to
be
go,
even.
Seattle. Everyone's so excited to add these guys to the
Thanks,
damn league.
Macklemore.
No kidding. Everyone's so excited to add them in the league. And look what they're fucking doing. They're creating an argument in this room.
Macklemore hasn't dropped a good album in decades.
Or ever. In fact.
Actually, I did see Macklemore once.
I don't care what your thoughts are about music.
Liam has a good one-off story.
Go ahead.
Did I ever tell you about
Saw
the time?
Macklemore at Shaw with Ryan Lewis and the guy who sang the big one he had. Not Thrift Shop.
Thrift shop.
Not the other one.
Downtown.
But the other one.
That's Ryan Lewis.
Can't hold us. Did you get that off the little beat I did? Yeah. Yep. Yeah, and he was there too. I just thought that was funny. It's like, man, this guy can't have much else going on. If he'd even open, he just did that one song.
I want to know, like, first of all, we definitely talked about the concert before. I don't know if we went that in depth. I just want to know if it was on recording before. Does anyone listen to this? I want to know if they heard that story before.
Yeah, actually.
Because I remember, because he's Macklemore, but he couldn't remember Ryan Lewis's name. And it took a minute to try and figure that out. And I feel like this is deja vu because you were sitting like right there, maybe right there.
I am just rinse and repeat.
What was the segment name again, Dan?
Did I ever tell you about the time?
Liam.
I like your signature segment.
Have I ever
I
told
dig
you?
it.
No, is it? Have I ever told you the story? There it is.
Do you want to hear
With
this?
Liam.
You want to hear the story?
Yeah.
Do you got another quick one for us?
No, not off the top of my head.
All right.
Let's wait
We'll
till my hot and cold performer.
Well, again-
Got that in the box over here.
Well, now we have a build up because you've also brought props into the studio for this hot and cold performance.
Didn't know it became show and tell here, but here we go.
I'm not even sat in front of the camera.
All right.
I'll record you. Like I'm a proud parent at your Christmas concert. I'll say like this.
For our friends at Soho, it is time for time for a little bit of Ask the Idiots. I've got 3 questions coming in. Soho YEG is the website you need to go to. They got some game day specials for you. They have got everything you could possibly need. And as you're going to hear me say every single week, their pizza is sensational. Got it? Good. First question for Ask the Idiots. I'm looking at Dan, so I'm going to start with you. While watching the game against the Predators were icing the puck a lot. Why not have a delay of game penalty if a team keeps icing the puck at least 2 consecutive times? Would that not add more goals to the game if they can still ice the puck a second time, but the defensive team will have to skate it out of their zone and not draw a delay of game penalty? And if penalized for being consecutive icing, the defensive team can't change. Basically, should you get a delay of game penalty if you keep ripping the puck down the ice?
No, there is a penalty to that, and it's called you can't get off the ice, and you have to keep skating around and juicing yourself out, and the other team can make line changes every single time. So that is a strategy, and it is a thing that the Predators were able to do against us, but the punishment has already been created, and that is you have to stay on the ice.
Rick, would you have some kind of delay of game if a team just keeps ripping it down?
No. It's just too big of a change. There's no point in it.
If today's episode has taught me anything, is that we need less confusing rules and not more confusing rules.
I'm you know what? I'll back you on that one. I'll say no. Liam?
I'm also a no.
Question number 2, Ask the Idiots for our friends at Soho. Go check them out on social at Soho YEG. If you can pick either, this is your dream scenario. Don't necessarily worry about the money or what's going out. Just your dream scenario. You get to pick one. You get a fully healthy chicken, Klingberg, Susie, or Mayfield. Rick?
So I said it again, you get a fully healthy?
Yep. Everybody's healthy. Everybody's feeling good. They come in at the top of their game.
And who are the options?
Chychrun, Klingberg, Susie, Mayfield.
And this team right now?
Yep.
Based on what we need right now?
Mm-hmm.
The answer is Susie.
Tyler?
Oh, Chychrun's the best. So if we're not factoring in any sort of acquisition cost or expected acquisition cost, it's Chychrun.
Liam?
If we're factoring in acquisition cost, it's Susie.
Liam?
Chychrun. Because he's a righty, right?
No.
Lefty.
Yeah, Chychrun. Either way, it doesn't matter.
Dan?
Boring, but Chychrun.
I'm going to say Susie just to be a little bit different. Is he not more just...
He's more on the defensive side, what we actually need
Chychrun?
as opposed to another, and I know I'm not trying to make it sound like a bad thing, but another puck mover. We kind of have that already. I think we need to add it to the areas we need, and that's why Susie is the answer.
Advantage for me with the addition of Chychrun is that everybody slides down on that left side.
That is true.
Too.
That's why I like it.
Yeah, but you still have Barry out there playing the same amount
Agreed.
of minutes.
But
And that would
Barry's
be
now with Kulak, who is the Barry Whisperer, and then Bouchard's playing with Chychrun in a very good puck moving duo that you can start in the offensive zone, and they can take heavier minutes off of the top guys.
We hope.
This is an interesting question. Our last one for Ask the Idiots. Again, if you want to participate in this, just slide on into my DMs. Twitter, Instagram, don't matter. The boys haven't seen these yet. Tyler, this is an interesting one. What is one thing from behind the scenes at Nation HQ that us folks just wouldn't know?
That our bromance is more than a shtick.
Wow. That was lovely. Thank you.
Wow. That's actually really well said.
Liam, what's one thing at Nation HQ behind the scenes that Nation citizens just wouldn't know?
Can you come back to me?
Sure. Dan?
I think you're the first one to ever pass.
I would say that the office is far more like there's far more personalities in this office than anybody could ever imagine. I think that people think it's just like this bro down culture or whatever. We have just such a vast array of people here. And
by that, you mean like ways of thinking.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Everything.
Absolutely. Love it.
Just to tack onto that, this is not my answer, but I would just say behind the scenes, just first glance, I bet if you walked into this office and you have no idea, there's a lot more people here than you'd probably expect.
Okay, you guys are seriously stealing mine here. I tried to direct yours back the way of thinking. And he's like, nah, you know what? I'm going to come and take the whole damn thing. But it's definitely one thing that I've noticed. I'm obviously here the least of everybody here a couple times a week for an hour or so. And yeah, there's just more faces and people involved in the whole production of everything than anybody would realize. And I'm here often. There's still, it's still crazy to me.
I'll piggyback on that too and be like, sometimes when I'll chat with people about like what I do for work, they'll be like, so like, how do you guys make money? And I'm like, oh, well, like we are a legitimate business. Like we're not like just fucking around in here. Like there's a bit of a process to what we're doing.
Slight method.
I really don't know. They just give me a microphone and tell me to start yelling.
Have you arrived at an answer?
Can you repeat the question?
Oh my Lord. Use it in a sentence.
I think I have an answer. I just want to hear the question.
Do you want to give us your answer instead?
That'll be his
What
answer.
is one thing from behind the scenes at Nation HQ that us regular citizens just wouldn't know?
I don't know if I should even say this, but watching Waz work is very funny. He just makes me laugh so much.
I enjoy it. That was a very personal, very like narrow scope on this one here.
Now he's standing at the door waving at us.
Kennedy and Maddie were having a conversation.
That's normal.
And Waz just stood up from his chair, stood directly between the two of them whilst they were talking and just didn't move the whole time. And it just really cracked me up. And it just makes me laugh.
He makes this office just
He's the TikTok whiz kid, and you don't want to like, you know,
you can't stifle the creativity.
You can't question that creativity.
Just makes me laugh.
That's how the universe
works
beams.
very, very hard. He's always doing random stuff.
That's just how the universe beams ideas into his brain. You know, he's got to be standing there at full attention.
Like he's getting abducted by an alien.
It's just like he's taking some kind of over-air update. My answer for this question would probably be that if you see somebody on camera, or you know somebody does one specific thing, like as an example, maybe you watched Liam and Tyler on Oilers Nation every day today, or maybe you saw, you know, that Dan runs hockey fights. My answer would be that those folks generally do a whole lot more than just that. There's a lot more that goes on behind the scenes in terms of just, like Tyler said, actually running a business than I think most people expect. And everybody in this room wears multiple hats. And I think most people probably wouldn't expect that.
That's fair. That's a fair point.
And we love each other.
Business.
Sorry?
And we love each other.
Love each other.
I also recently started playing movies in the office. That's something most people won't see.
Well, that's a holiday thing, right?
That is true.
And yesterday was not even a movie, was it not? Was it not just fucking Nick Offerman staring at everybody
for 10 hours?
So was it on like pause, or is this like the log?
Yeah, it's the new Yule log.
Just moved,
and he just sits there.
Yeah, I didn't put it on. Don't look at me.
I wonder how long do you think the loops are? Like, how long did he sit there for?
I think that most good fireplace loops are like 2 or 3 hours, and then they just...
Fireplace is one thing, fine. You just set it and camera on and fucking walk away, come back. This is one dude sitting there in front of the camera. Like,
but it's Ron from...
Ron Swanson, I get it. But like,
it's just him.
Did he sit there for 2 hours?
Yeah, I think so.
That's incredible.
That just reminds me now of... During the pandemic, we're all working from home. I was filming on Instagram Live, the Yule log thing. I don't know why I was doing this. One of my stupid ideas. And I actually saw the loop renew and I got so excited.
It's the old DVD in the corner of the TV.
Yep. Yep. Sometimes you just got to sit there and wait.
Some of those Yule logs use, fun fact, they use the sound of keyboards clicking as their fire sound because they can't quite mic up a fire easily.
Does anybody else have anything from behind the scenes to take people behind the curtain?
Can you hear the rattling of the fire?
Fire crackling?
Yeah.
Puts the microphone.
Yeah. Tyler's got a little ASMR
What does
going.
it stand for? I've always wondered.
I actually know. I've been told this ASMR meaning. One sec. Autonomous sensory meridian response.
Yeah.
Next time you listen to a Yule log, you're going to say, Dan was right. That is a keyboard. And he is more than hockeyfights.com, isn't he?
Autonomous sensory meridian response.
There you go.
There you go.
Yeah, but folks.
Any other behind? No, Tyler. No. Bad, Tyler.
Some of these behind the scenes things, they need to come find out for themselves.
Yes.
One chance. Well, I think Vegas is sold out, but
Vegas is sold out, but you know what's not sold out? Toronto.
Brought to you by AMA Travel.
We are going to Toronto in March, and there's still space on this trip. Head on over to nationgear.ca. All the details are there. Of course, our friends at AMA Travel are the reason that we're traveling to Toronto. And this is a bougie trip. We're in a box. We're in a nice hotel in and out of Toronto. Going to see a big 4-2 win. Come on.
we're
Staying at the Royal York Hotel. Right next to the arena.
Suit and ties or what?
I'm wearing a tux.
I think
Hello.
Tux
we're
and a
gonna
top
be-
hat.
I think we're going to be closer than the Oilers are to the arena.
I'm actually just going to wear one of those shirts that's a tuxedo.
No, I dig it.
It's just like, it shows like I'm casual, but I'm also here to party.
Yeah.
Whatever that line is.
I just like it because you're gonna wear that the whole way through. Like, too bad when he gets up.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I dig it.
Shower
I
with
want
it
a
on, walk around
three-piece
wet.
tux.
You gotta clean it
with a
up or
top
dry.
hat and a monocle.
Tyler doesn't pack for our work trips. He just comes in what he wears. Stays
There
in
you
it the
go.
whole
Ask the idiots for our friends at Soho. Go check them out at sohoyeg.com. More importantly, get on down. 11454 Jasper Avenue. Go grab yourself some za.
I think I'm going to go on Saturday
All right.
I'll get
before the Oilers.
on you.
It's a good after game meal. I've
Or
never
before
had it
game.
pre.
Before?
Or
I've
during
never
the
had
game.
it pre,
These are a
but it's
serious sponsor, Rick. We can't be saying go after the game, but not before the game.
no. I just feel like it works so well with once you get the booze in ya. That's really a nice spot to get to. You get to the chopsticks. You get a nice hot box.
Chopsticks.
Yeah.
With
At
a
Soho?
pizza.
Oh, I thought you said oodle noodle.
Also a sponsor.
Oh,
In this case, we're talking Soho.
We're talking Soho.
that's fair.
Get a little
So
za.
great for before, during, and after the game.
I recommend, Liam, in fact, you go to Soho pre and post game. 2 pizzas, 1 day.
Twist my rubber arm.
Those are big pizzas.
Yeah, I want to see
And
that.
they always have game day specials going on.
All right.
$8 for a pint and a slice and half price wings every Oilers game day with the game on their big 100-inch screen.
I just triggered Tyler with a code word.
Yeah, Tyler just rattled off an
Commercial
ad read,
reading
like,
coming out.
My whole life's an ad read.
just real quick before we finish off the podcast with hot and cold performers, we got the Anaheim Ducks tomorrow. Is this one of those games where the Oilers have to beat the brakes off them like they did to the Arizona Coyotes?
Yes.
Yes.
I don't think they have to, but I think they will.
They have 2 regulation wins this
Oh, they
season.
picked up another one.
They beat the Habs.
They beat the Habs last night.
for them.
5-2.
Dying fan base.
Congratulations.
I think they need to come out and just play a strong team game, regardless of the score. You need the win, but I'd rather see them like lock them down to 17 shots and win 3-1 with an empty netter. I really don't care about the score being run up. I want to see them come out and play a fucking strong 5-man game.
For our friends at Betway, I've got some money to win back after last night, so I need them to have a big day tomorrow.
And we got Bills Dolphins to bet on Saturday night, so I think we got to juice up the account with an Oilers win.
That's fair. That's
Yeah.
a big game. That is
Hot and
flat-tire
cold
last
performers time, everybody. Let's start with our veggies, Dan.
I got really quiet.
There you go.
Everybody's been waiting.
Your cold performer of the week, sir.
I'm just trying to get her name up here. Everybody was talking about her across Canada. It's the,
My girl Jackie. I don't remember her last name.
Jackie, the young lady who moved from Mississauga to which she calls apparently it's a 10 out of 10 city.
Mississauga, also Toronto. Basically, if you live in Pickering and say you live in Ontario or in Toronto.
And Edmonton, which it turns out she didn't live in Leduc. She lived in Windermere. But she called Edmonton a 6 out of 10 this morning. So she gets my
Windermere?
hot performer of the week.
So then why was she saying she lived in Leduc in that article?
Because
Didn't people? Oh, actually, I didn't.
because nobody reads the article.
I read
is
the
what
article.
She said. Nobody read it.
I read the article. She said she lived in Leduc.
She's a strong victim. She's a strong victim type.
I literally did 20 minutes on Better Late Than Never where I read the entire article. She lived in Leduc. She was walking around Leduc asking people for hookah bars.
And we also have more Cactus Clubs per capita than Toronto does.
Also, that was another thing there with her. Like, she wanted to live a Sex in the City lifestyle, but she's like, I go to Cactus Club every day after work. I'm like, really?
Yikes.
Okay.
Oh, that's cold.
Rick, your cold performer of the week.
You know what? It's got to go because of last night and that rule book fucking fiasco. So it just goes to the NHL and the way they handle their PR business without that. The Bettman interview, I just think they make a real big ass of themselves when they get on fucking get a microphone in front of them.
Tyler, cold performer of the week. Let's get our veggies down.
I know the police are looking, but they haven't found anyone. Whoever keeps putting rum in Bagged Milk's cup, we will find you.
Ooh.
It's really annoying.
Yeah.
I go to pour myself a nice glass of Coke and some fresh cubes in there, and some bitch just pours like 3, 4, 5 ounces of rum in there.
Bailey's got in there on the weekend.
Like OJ looking for the killer, we will find you.
Eventually, we'll find.
He doesn't want to go in his kitchen anymore because he never knows he's going to do that.
I don't know what's going on with this. I got a real situation in my house. Liam, your cold performer of the week.
Creativity. I recently watched the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
What? Not even pushing buttons.
We have been hoodwinked, bamboozled, led astray, run amok, and flat out deceived.
And Lord of the Rings is very good. It's very visual. Like, you know, it's not real, but it's good. And then I watched The Hobbit.
Not real?
And there's just too much CGI in that movie. And it just wasn't for me. So movie creativity.
Are you thrilled? I'm not.
He's not.
Also, my hot take, Lord of the Rings sucks ass.
Why?
Because I don't care about wizards and hobbits and shit. That's not my
So
thing.
long.
You heard me, Waz.
Slow and boring.
You heard me, Waz.
As
You're not on mic. There you go. My cold performer of the week is, let me think here. Let me think.
Give it to my microphone arm for falling off the desk.
Oh my, I swear, like, we're not getting into it with the mic arms, actually.
I mean, you know how much,
Are you going to stand up for them?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. So you just don't touch mine.
I'm holding mine right now, Tyler.
Don't touch it.
I think it's because he fiddled with it.
I
had to move
too.
Yeah.
I fiddle as well.
So Dan knows I don't like this.
Well, you're
either,
allowed
so
to.
That's
You've
why I'm
got
hands-free.
Yeah,
Dan's mic arm gets my cold performer of the week.
No, God! No, God, please,
Just
no!
take a screenshot of me like this, Tyler. Holding
No!
it up.
No!
Holding it. There we go.
No, God!
when I grew up, you're taught as a kid to keep your hands in your lap. That was it. It's a tough time when I grew up.
Idle hands is the
You're a little
devil's
younger, you got
playground.
it a
Can't do
little
it.
easier.
Can't do it. ADHD.
That's what the phone's for.
Liam, let's finish off with some positive news. What is your, or should we leave Liam last?
Yeah, leave him last. Don't even let him do it. Make Gavin do his for him.
All right, we're going to leave Liam last. We're going to do the same order. Dan, your hot performer of the week.
My hot performer of the week is going to go to one Clem Costin for his banter back and forth with Jim Matheson yesterday. It was a lot of fun to see. I like seeing these guys be able to have some fun with the news clippings back and forth. So Clem Costin, you get my hot performer of the week.
He's a hot guy!
Rick, your hot performer of the week.
We're going to stay on the ice, and I think there's one guy to give it to right now. It's number 18, Zach Hyman. The man's been on fire lately. He had a rough go there in November with a bunch of called back goals, but he's on fire right now.
It's getting hot in here.
Tyler, hot performer of the week.
Actually going to take two, building off Dan's. I liked seeing Connor McDavid come out after the game last night, show his personality and really say how he felt instead of just being like,
And that was Connor 15 out of 10 match.
yeah, instead of him just coming out though and being like
On camera.
oh man, like, one call can't make the game, blah, blah, blah. He came out and was like pissed, and his voice has the ability to affect change in the league. So I'm happy he's using it for that.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
Second hot performer to a young gentleman by the name of Reed Schaefer. You may know him as Ginger Beef. Joined me for an interview today. It'll run Monday on Oilers Nation every day. It was very good. And I asked him, does he like the nickname Ginger Beef? All those and that answer and more coming on Oilers Nation every day Monday.
This is why I'm hot. I'm hot because I'm fly. You ain't because you not.
Tyler with a hot teaser there.
My hot performer of the week is Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. My guy just remains red hot, and it just really makes me happy. The guy's had a couple of down years, a little bit. Last year, he only scored 13 goals. He's already got more than that, and I'm just pumped for him. I just really am.
Feeling hot, hot, hot. Feeling hot, hot, hot.
And with that, we're done.
All right.
There you go. I'm excited.
Let's get to Liam's hot performer of the week. He brought in a prop. It is in a box.
We're not on camera.
Ready to go.
As you guys know, I had a difficult weekend.
Yes.
England got knocked out of the World Cup.
I apologize.
That's okay. Thank you.
Yep.
And I was at a family fondue for my girlfriend's family.
Mm-hmm.
And on Sunday, we gave presents.
How was the fondue?
It was awesome. It ate away the pain. And I got a gift from Uncle Tim and Auntie Tammy. So they're my hot performer.
Hold on. So you do know what's in there, right?
Yes,
you're not opening this.
You're just showing us.
I'm just showing you guys. So let's see if I can do this.
Who got you this again, Liam?
I think
Uncle Tim, not my uncle.
And Aunt
Tammy.
So
this is
a mini World Cup trophy.
No,
that would kind of be a slap.
That would have been.
Well, I mean, they would have bought it before, and then
it's England's World Cup trophy.
The Queen bobblehead.
Pour it on!
Wow.
There is no chance I was guessing that.
She's alive and well.
Unbelievable.
Yeah,
that's really impressive too.
It's a very nice bobblehead.
It is.
I'll put it in front of the camera.
Okay, so what we need to do is
come show it to me.
As you can see, there's a lot of detail in the
your
Queen.
spot's right here, Liam.
Great work. Yep.
Come on, Liam. Come sit down.
I don't know if my
reach.
Let's put her down.
Well, let's just put her right here.
You can use my. I have the arm right here, Liam.
Wait, I don't know if
I got this one, and then I'll tuck in.
Yeah, we're good.
Queen will be right. Ty, can we just get rid of the audition so we can see? There's the Queen. Right here.
Oh, right behind your shoulder. All right.
Right under McDavid.
I'm hot because I'm great episode. You ain't because you not.
The King and Queen back together. McDavid and Elizabeth.
Shout out Uncle Tim
Tammy.
Auntie Tammy.
Wow.
Oh, thank you guys all for riding through this because that was a disaster.
Thanks for listening to Oilers Nation Radio, delivered by DoorDash. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and give us a follow on Twitter and Instagram.